transition from in-ring talent to road agent?
Well, yeah, I was a little bit nervous there, but I had Strongbow was the road agent that I hooked up with in the beginning, to show me, kind of show me the ropes,
Mhm.
But I just, because I'd been talent, and I know what you go through when you're on the road. Not everything is ABC. There's shit comes up, like you miss your flight, through no fault of your own, and then maybe the rental cars. There's no rental cars there when you get there, even though you had a reservation. So shit happens, so you get there late. And I think at that time when I started, we didn't have cell phones and crap like that, So
Right.
guys would,
Yeah.
they're not here, supposed to be there an hour before showtime. We were there 2 hours before showtime. And then they'd come in, and they'd say, okay, well, what happened? So, well, the plane was late. And then when I got there was no rental cars, So, they had to find a way, get a taxi cab or something, to the arena. And the arena could be 15, 20 miles from the airport.
Right.
So, and you were responsible for getting there, so you had to get there the best way you could. That goes, if you can't take a bloody cab, we didn't have Ubers back then either. So
Right.
if you take a cab everywhere, so you got a cab. Usually with a rental car, you usually have, 3 or 4 guys with you, or at least somebody to split it. Then you got your hotel rooms, that all comes out of your pocket. So at the end of the night, you cost you $15 to wrestle.
Right.
So you can't make a
Wow.
living that way.
True. What's the hardest part of the job when you're a road agent?
I think just making sure everybody got there and had the match and got out, safely, without getting hurt. I mean, there were times, guys hurt their knees or they were sick. A couple of guys had what the hell do you call that? Like a staph infection, and I had to take him to
Right.
the hospital. I
Okay.
think Owen Hart one time he blew his knee out, so I put him in the back of my rental car, took him to the hospital. They x-rayed it, tied it up, and then I took him to his hotel. And then, of course, he, made sure he got ticket to get home. But that was just making sure everybody was, all right at the end of the night.
What were your duties besides making sure everyone got there? Did you report to Vince at the end of every night, every house show? Like, what was your general job description?
Mm. Well, I'd get there like 2 hours before, and there was guys like working with me, like George Animal Steel and Rene Goulet, and then I was working with Jack Lanza and Chief J Strongbow. I think there was a few other guys. I just slipped my mind, but just get there 2 hours before showtime and make sure everything was set, and then I'd get some complimentary tickets for the boys who would bring friends and make sure that they were all set up. And then at the end of the night, although there were 2 agents and one would do the settlement, and I used to do that sometimes, and then I'd have to call in a report on the whole show at the end of the night. So when I get back to the hotel, then make the report, and that would go on a recording, and then it'll be, transcribed, onto a sheet, and Vince would read that, and Pat Patterson, and if there were any questions, they'd give us a call. while we were on the road.
Tony, when you say settle up, does the venue give you like a suitcase full of cash? Like, how does that work?
No. They'd send they'd either give us a check or they'd wire a check. You know, the big,
Got it.
the big shows. You know, like $400,000. You know, and then I
Right.
just go through the expenses. You know, there might be, let me see, a fork hoist. To do the set up the ring. You know,
Hmm.
and then some places they might have had to rent chairs, because they wouldn't have had enough chairs per ringside. Because a lot of these places, they were like basketball courts and ice hockey arenas, So, they wouldn't have the right amount of chairs and bleachers, for a wrestling match. Because a wrestling match like Madison Square Garden, I think they don't get. I don't think there's anything there that gets more people into Madison Square Garden than a wrestling or a boxing match. Like the basketball, they got that big basketball court. Well, we take over all of that court except for maybe 30 by 30 square in the middle to put the ring.